Okay, if this works, we'll be taking the video. Those of you that might be watching this on our YouTube channel, I'm Alan Ward. This is the class of 1968 reunion meeting. We're going to talk about our 55th reunion, which we have coming up in July of next year. Not quite 2023 yet. Okay. And so I prepared a little bit of a presentation, and I will read the things that are on here because the video might not be able to show the words on the screen. You guys can see that, right?
Sure.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start. We haven't for a long time talked about the financial position of the class, how much money we have available for discretionary spending. So we're going to do that, and that's going to, first you're going to humor me. I'm the retired accounting professor, so I'm all about the internal controls. I'm glad Hoffman's not here to give me a bunch of hard time about internal controls for our money. And I'm going to review those really quickly. Then we're going to have a treasury report from Jo. She's going to come and share where we are, how we've spent our money, how we've managed to be good stewards of the class's money over the last 5 years. Then we're going to talk a little bit about voluntary contributions. Then we're going to talk about the Doubletree Hotel considerations. Most of you remember that we had our reunion, those of you that were able to attend our 50th at the Doubletree Hotel. We really had few, I don't even remember any complaints. That means it must have been really good because we didn't have any complaints. But we really were happy with the arrangement. So I'm going to update you on the rooms and the meals and our situations for that. And Jo and I spent an hour this afternoon before this meeting today getting updated information. So I'll be able to share that with you and then everybody in the group as well through the video, if the video works. Then we're going to talk about our 50th reunion costs, what we spent money on in general, and how we can do it for comparison. And then we're going to talk about options for our Saturday night event and what we might be able to do. And that's kind of the plan for today. Those of you that attended a lot of our gatherings getting ready for the 50th, I always had, these are the classmates we found, these are the ones we haven't found, you know, all those kinds of things. We're not really going to do that much this time. Some people have told us they don't want to hear from us anymore, and we worked really, really hard the last time, and I don't think there's any new information. We'll do some checking, but we're basically going to look at what we've got, because we found almost everything. And the ones we didn't, I think we're going to have a tough time locating. Come across it. I'm going to eventually do that in another meeting, but today I really want to focus on the Doubletree. That's where our emphasis is going to be, on the venue. I tried to get my little Professor Clicker going and I didn't get it done. I couldn't get it to work, probably the battery's dead. But in 2018, there's a little print, so if people in the video, I'll read it to you. It's basically our group, the alumni, decided that the checking account could be opened in the name of its three current leadership team, which are still the leadership team, me, Linda, and Jo, because they were elected as president, vice president, and secretary treasurer. And Jo became the primary holder of the account and maintains our checkbook. Okay, but Linda and I have electronic online access whenever we want to have access, and check signing ability as well, although we don't really need it very often, but we have it. The account requires only one signature on checks, but all disbursements require approval by more than one of the authorized check signer before the disbursement, so at least two of us have to agree on it. And typically, any disbursements we make, we bring back to a meeting like this, and we tell them what we've told them before, so that the group can ratify it. Okay? And anything that got rejected, well, then we'll go get the money back. That's never happened, and we don't expect it to happen, and I certainly hope it never happens, but That's the plan. Okay? Then, oops, let's see, it's going backwards. That's because I was on the wrong side of the computer, right? Okay. There we go. See, I was on the right side of the computer, it worked. All right, second item, receipts. When we get money in, and we really haven't collected any money in 5 years almost, okay? And Joe's gonna give us some more of that details, but receipts are directed to one of the authorized check signer who's not normally maintaining the checkbook. That would be either Linda or me, and Linda and Joe, or the people, because I'm in Columbus. So the money in the past, and we'll do it again, as long as Linda says it's okay, will come to her. She makes a list of the checks, then she gives them to Joe, and Joe can get them deposited. That way we can make sure that all the ones that came in got deposited, and, you know, all that internal control stuff. Okay? So that's basically the way we log the receipts when we get the money. When there's substantial activity in the account, and as Joe will tell you, that's not been recently. Okay, but it's coming. Okay, when there's substantial activity in the account, the Secretary Treasurer will prepare a treasurer's report for the gathering of the group. Joe's got some now, and then we'll probably do one as we start getting money. We'll do one each time we get together, like we did before. And Joe will keep some minutes again, and so forth, because we've got more activity than we've gone in the last 7 years. That report's available to everybody, okay? And they're maintained for historical records. Joe's got them someplace. Okay? And if the group desires, actually in full disclosure, we said it would happen every year, but it seemed kind of nonsensical. The transactions in the account will be reviewed by someone other than the 3 primary officers to verify the treasurer's reports. But since we haven't had any transactions in the last 2 years, it seemed kind of silly to get somebody to come review the transactions that don't exist. So we haven't had that. But anybody who wants to review them, I'm sure Joe and Lynn and I are fine with that. Okay? All right, that's it on my policies. I've made my little internal control thing. Gary, you heard that? I'm glad you were here to give me a hard time. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to let Joe come up here. She won't want to do that, I know that. But she'll come up here so she can be in front of the camera thing. And turn it over for a little bit of her presentation to tell you what we collected the money, how we've used it, what we got left, so forth.
Okay. In 2018, we collected a ton of money from classmates who just voluntarily came up with contributions. They came in left and right, very generously. And right before the event, our balance came to $9,675.32. That was incredible. That's incredible. The banquet itself, for 124 of us, came to $27.96. So that's a little pricey, but I thought it was good. I thought it was worth it. Another cost at the reunion.
Remember, that's 120 something people, so when she says it's pricey, yeah, it was about $30, $40 a piece.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty good cost.
It's all relative. The photographer that we had, his fee was $400. Then another disbursement came to a little bit over $700, and that was all the stuff for the 2 party rooms that we had, like Friday night, the pizza, snacks, and setups, ice. Well, ice, hotel tables ice. With everything, all the reimbursements, and a couple of our meetings out at Lake Lorelei, where the class paid for the meeting that was thrown on the hill. Our current balance is $640.22.
And so we've spent, after we got through the reunion expenses, clearing all that out, in the last 5 years, we've only spent
Around $240.
okay? So we have most of the money available. Any questions for Joe? Okay. Thank you, Joe.
John, thank you.
Okay. So, as a result, one of the things that we used the money for, okay, Joe said our balance was $9,000 or whatever. That's after everybody paid for their dinners, right? They paid their registrations, they did all that kind of stuff. That made the balance go big, but it wasn't our money, right? It was just, we were the collecting agent for a little bit to pay it out to the hotel, okay? But we did collect money because we had most of you remember, we had a campaign that we wanted to give $1,968 to the high school. And we did that. And I thought that was really good. Some of the later classes watched that and decided they're going to give more, and I don't care. We gave what we wanted to do, we started it. That's fine, do what they want to do, okay? But we got these, it was all from the generosity of classmates. And we never specified an amount, we just let people do what they wanted to. But it also paid for some other things. So as you can see from Joe's report, our fundraising really served us well. It's held us over. We've been careful with the money. We spent it for general class activities. We tried to pay Bobby Casey last year for when he had people at the lake, but he wouldn't have it. I wasn't willing to fight him over it. So we appreciate, Bob, if you're watching this, your efforts. That wasn't meant to be negative. I'm just trying to recognize you. That's a contribution in itself. Okay. But we did use the money for a lot of things besides collecting it and putting it back out. Like, everybody knows if they're going to dinner, they're going to pay for dinner, so you've got to pay for that. So, as Joe said, we had a photographer. Not today, but we might have a conversation about whether we think that is worth doing again. Okay? Out of curiosity, if any of you here, did any of you buy any pictures from the photographer? Right? So whether we decide to do that again on our 55th, I think that's open for discussion. But we also have a hospitality room. And our hospitality room actually probably represented in relative terms of, Joe's got the numbers, but a reasonably large percentage of the money we spent beyond the meals. Okay? Because we bought soft drinks, water, snacks, and Friday night we bought the pizzas. We basically bought dinner for everybody. It was pizzas and salads and stuff like that. And so we are currently thinking, open for discussion, that's why we're having these meetings, that we're going to do that again. Okay? That Friday night, people can come and they can spend all afternoon and the evening, whatever they want there. And it gives us the high quality time that many of us seek and have talked about, that we want to have time to spend with our classmates in one of the rooms. And we don't have to go out to dinner, and we can get salads if somebody really wants some salads, and we can get some sub sandwiches. But we got it all from a pizza place, and they got it, and it was delivered, and we'd already bought. I think Joe might have done some of the shopping. I think I might have done some of the shopping. We bought snacks and drinks, no alcohol. Bring all the alcohol you want. Class didn't buy any alcohol, and as long as I'm leading it, I'm not going to support buying the alcohol. The risks are just not worth it. Everybody can buy their own. I don't care what you do. I just don't want to have class money going into buying alcohol. If there's a problem, I don't want to deal with that. Okay? But we bought all the other kind of stuff. So, I'm sure, Joe might know the number. I don't know if she's got it right off the top of her head, but I'm sure we spent more than $600 on all of that stuff.
Yeah, the party room supplies and the pizza came to $720.45.
So we spent more than we currently have. Okay, that's just that little piece, right? We also had audiovisual rentals. Last year we got a big benefit in that Jerry Newman had the capacity and the equipment to run our music on Saturday night. He did a great job. And I talked to him, and I talked to him just this week, and he wasn't sure he was going to attend the 55th for whatever reasons. I didn't ask. But he also has sold his equipment. So I still think we might want to have music. Okay, so we might need some money to be able to rent whatever we need to do. And I've asked Jerry, even if he doesn't come, to give me some ideas on how to manage the music. Rather than having a DJ, which I was really not in favor of, and so therefore it probably didn't happen. Okay, I got a subscription on my own for paid Pandora. And then you might remember, I sent out a survey and said, tell me songs from the 60s. Remember me doing that? Tell me what you want to hear. And then I found them all, and I put them all on a thing, and then he worked with that. It was kind of fun, okay? That didn't cost us much. We had to pay for that, and Jerry doing the work, but we might have some expenses to figure out how to manage the music, because I think we do need to have music, okay? We had a classmate booklet, which we might want to do again. Okay, we've got a framework now set up, so it'll be a little bit easier. Bartender costs. We're going to have, like last year, I'm assuming we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have a cash bar. Again, class not buying alcohol. Buy all you want. Class not buying alcohol. Okay. So, but we have to pay the bartender. And the bartender was several $100 for a few hours. And I think we want a bartender. Right? So we need to have bartender costs. Joe did a great job. You might remember the lanyards. Okay, I'm sure each of you have your own lanyards, because we're going to come and check whether you kept your lanyard so we can use it again. Yeah, all of you in this room might have, not all, some of you in this room might have it, but I'm not sure everybody who might watch the video has it. But Joe I've talked about, she's got the model, she knows how to do it, but we're probably going to have smaller costs, but probably some cost for. I thought they were good, because we're going to see people who aren't able to come to Chicken all the time, and we're not going to recognize some of them. Some of them might change their appearance in the last 6 years. Okay, so decorations. Becky, Hotel Huber makes the great display boards, you know, and we appreciate that, Beck. The memory boards, and I know our website is not something that, you know, everybody goes to every day, but if you do go to our website, she does a remarkable job with all of our classmates that are no longer with us. She calls it memory something, okay? But it's got all these obituaries, all the information, all the stuff for our classmates. And she had the big displays, and it was really well done. That's a good way to say it. We're not going to have quite so many mailings, because I was mailing out letters trying to figure out where everybody was, and I'm not going to do that, at least not as much. I'm going to try to mail to some of these ones. I'm still kind of figuring out where they are, but the ones that have told me they're not interested, well, they've made a choice. As I told Joe earlier today, I might not fully understand why that person makes that choice, but then again, how many people will be doing this stuff that I'm doing, right? So I'm not the ideal case to judge against. But I'm more worried about the ones I still haven't found. You know, they don't even know we're out here doing this. We might have one of those with me. Wow, that's really cool. You know? So I might do a little bit of work and see if I can figure out where they might be. But we've got most everybody. So we're in communication. So we're not going to have mailing expenses. And we have other similar things. Maybe something I didn't think of. But that's the general thing. So at this point, I really haven't talked to Joe and Linda to be fully disclosed. But I am not thinking that we need to give money to a class again like we did last time.
I agree.
Okay, we did it. It was nice. We had the football game. I'm really glad we did it. But I don't think we need to do that again. Okay, so that's one expenditure we might have. But I said it's not been finalized. If we had all kinds of people contacting me saying, I really think we got to give the school some money, then we'll have that conversation and we'll say, okay, how much you want to give?
Well, yeah, I mean.
You know, it's our money, we're donating it.
If anybody feels strongly about
They can still give to the
school, they
school.
do that on an individual
Right,
basis.
so
Nothing wrong with
I thought
that.
that the class thing we did was something special. That's my only personal position at this point. But all that being said, I would like. Let's see. I would like to at least start here today, and maybe in my next letter, email, whatever we call those things I send out. Before I get to the cartoons, does anybody like the cartoons besides me?
I like the cartoons.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read that strip and I said, gotta have these. So I went back and found them all electronically. I've still got a few more. It's not done yet. But I read them and I laugh, I recognize that concept. So anyway, the next communication, I'll open up the door and we'll have some more guidance as to how to get money to Linda so it can go to Joe. And we'll start taking some donations. And anybody who feels like they are in a financial position to be able to donate a little bit of money to help us, and you're going to hear me talk about this, and I've talked about it since the day I started kind of working on it with the class. I want to keep the costs low. Some of the classes pile everything they've got into that number, and it turns out to be like $95 a person to go to the banquet, because that includes bartenders,
Everything else, yeah.
it includes lanyards, it includes everything. And I believe that we have a wide range of economic capability within the class. Okay? Some people, it doesn't make any difference. Other people, it might. I don't want those other people where it might not coming because we've got the cost too high. So,
Oh, it's really nice.
yeah, it's cold in here, isn't it? Did they the air conditioning on? Somebody who works here ought to come in here and turn on the air conditioning. Linda's daughter-in-law is our waitress today. So anyway, we're going to try to collect some money, and the goal is to keep the costs as low as reasonably possible, so that everybody can participate. Okay? And I think, and it worked out great last time. I mean, we got, I don't know how much Joe said we ended up collecting, but thousands of dollars. And we're not going to give $1,600 away to the school, so I'm thinking we ought to be able to get enough money to pay for what we want, and maybe we'll even supplement the dinner costs. You know, if we got enough money, we could say, I don't know how I personally feel about that, so I didn't really want to put this in the presentation, but because personally I'm much more comfortable paying for the bartender that everybody uses than lowering the cost of the meal. I think we can all pay our dinner bills. But that's, I'm not really, I don't know where I am on that. So that's where it is. All right? Questions? Okay. All right. Doubletree. I I know I started out, I don't remember if I was on the video. I don't remember getting anybody complaining about the DoubleTree. In fact, I got nothing but really positive comments about the way they handled it, those that stayed in the hotel, breakfast, the whole setup. So we didn't spend a lot of time investigating other venues for this year. I think you got a good thing, don't screw it up, okay? So we went back. And I've been talking to them since July or August. And if you go back and look in your emails from me, you'll find that August 8th, I think, or in that neighborhood, is when I put out the save the date email so that we had our dates locked in with the hotel. But at that time, they told me the room rates, but they didn't tell me meals, catering, all that stuff. Well, we got a new chef, and so then I waited a couple months. No, we're still working on that, and well, I got it like a week and 10 days ago. Okay, so I'm going to talk about these in two different pieces. Rooms, which only apply to about 25% of the people who are currently responding to my survey. Fill out the survey, 2 questions. Okay. Because we have 65, well, I don't know today. I haven't redone math. We've had people move and not be with us anymore. But about 65% of our class lives in the greater Cincinnati area. Okay? So many of those people in the greater Cincinnati area say, well, I don't normally buy a hotel room in Blue Ash. So we only have about 25% of the people who have responded so far that they're coming to the reunion need any rooms. Personally, I think if it were me, just me personally, I would be getting at least one night. It's so convenient to walk upstairs after you're done, and if you want to have any alcohol, you're not driving, you're not worried about your spouse driving, you're not telling one you've got to drive, not drive. So I would have at least one night, and really Friday night, that's when we had to kick people out last time for a while because of the football game, which we're not going to have. So we're going to have more time for everybody to spend with each other. That's why I got the rooms. But I don't, it's personal choice, okay? Our room rates include 2 breakfast coupons for each room, okay? And DoubleTree breakfasts are not the same as a Motel 6 breakfast, right? They're a little nicer, the meals are better, and it's a little higher quality. It's worth a little bit more. I'm sure they charge $15 or $20, and they charge a nickel if you wanted to just buy the breakfast, okay? Our King Suite rooms are $139 plus taxes of about $24. That's Deer Park, Blue Ash, whatever it is. Okay. And the double suite rooms, which is 2 double beds instead of 1 king bed. I only have 1 person who's requested the double beds, I think, or 2 on the survey. Everybody's taking kings. If you're taking, they're $149, and then we have these executive rooms. There are 2 of them. They're $10 more each. I'm going to take one of those so we have the hospitality room, and we'll find somebody else who will take it, and if we have to supplement the $10 difference, we'll cut that. But that's how we get the hospitality rooms, these executive rooms. So, I did the research. These rates are $10 a night more than what we paid 5 years ago. I think that's way better than not bad, right? That's really good. I wish I could fill my gas tank for only $10. Right?
That won't happen.
That won't happen, right? And I guess fill it all the time, right? So I thought that was really good from the hotel standpoint, okay? And I wasn't interested in going to see if I could find somebody who would beat them by $5 or something like that when we knew the success we had. So I think $10 over 5 years Anybody who disagrees, that's fine, but, you know, you're not paying attention to what's going on